I'm guessing then, right, the next episode, he was trying to save Grandpa. He won't really go into the tournament. Unlikely. He's gonna have to say, yeah, and his arm, of course, is been, you know, cut off with his sword, right? We saw 3 episodes ago. But that's probably next week then, right? He's probably gonna lead the tournament. Anyway, that's about it for the episode. But that was pretty like interesting there. First of all, I'm talking about her puppet magic. Yeah, because okay, so that was kind of too, because we knew that he died, but his family was fine, right? I never heard about them being killed, and then apparently she tricked them with her like clone puppet marionette puppet magic. Yeah, so it's like what? So I didn't know she was dead to begin with, or not dead. But yeah, so she has a kind of like, she can create marionette puppets, right? I suppose, and they can fight. So if it's like, you know, can you know, Naruto, right? Yeah, with the puppet guys and Sasori and so on, Naruto. But it can also apparently take the shape, right? This puppet here is like transforming into the wife, right? That we saw in early episodes. Yeah, and the son and so on. So it's like they can also like, that's like a pretty powerful skill, I feel, like, right? Because not only can she, again, you know, have puppet fighting, but she can even transform the puppet into people, right? So they look like clones, and then of course they killed like a fake person, right? So, you know, they can, you know, hide her. He's dead. He's dead, right? He died, I guess, right? Anyway, but they can hide his wife at least, and kid and so on from being assassinated. So very, very powerful indeed in that sense. However, though, this power is probably not that good in an actual fight, though, right? It's like, I mean, yes, you can still fight, I mean, with your puppets, but like making them look like other people, it's only good, I guess, if you fight, I guess, like in a war with like several people, right? You clone your enemies, so you get confused, I guess, maybe. Well, actually, you can also clone your allies, right? So you can have 10 of your same, you know, looking allies, so they can't figure out who's the real one, I guess. So there is some skills. Yeah, you can use it to some, but she feels very, I think this kind of power use feels very utility based, right? Like a woman that is probably the best fighting in a, you know, a team fight, right, with other allies against, you know, a lot of enemies. Doesn't feel like a very good power one against one, right? This kind of cloning or like fake and, you know, pseudo and so on. Yeah, that feels a lot better if you're gonna fight against a lot of people in, you know, more mishap and so on. So that's her part. It's interesting. Kind of saw him just throwing that out there. As talked about earlier, I really like that, you know, David, he's into this, actually learning what is right. He feels like a real person. It feels like me, you know? I would be like him. I would also be like, hey sir, can you teach me this you know, clown summoning shit, because that's pretty cool. Yeah, of course everyone has their own magic, right? But still, I would be set like him, right? I'll be like, I know martial art, but I'm fighting people that can like summon a hammer, and some other guy could like summon, you know, this thing and cards and this like flying and puppet magic, and yeah, so I think he has the right, you know, take on it. He's like, well, if you're gonna win this shit, I need to learn how to also do this stuff, right? That is very likely. That being said, though, I mean, we have seen people. I mean, Mira's defeated 2 people without actually having the god power. She just beats them anyway. So, to some extent, you can still defeat people, but it has to be a limit, right? Where, like, okay, if you're a really good fighter, but the other guy has some amazing god powers, like the shark guy feels. The god feels very powerful, right? If you can't use your own god power, you're probably screwed, right? It feels like there has to be a limit where it doesn't work anymore to be a better fighter. It's like, no, these guys are going to kill you with their magic. But yeah, talking about Grandpa. So we then learn, of course, that Grandpa, he didn't train him though. He didn't train this boy. Yeah, he didn't train him, but he kind of gave him the inspiration, right? Well, I mean, he didn't train him, but he did help him with his martial art, because he gave him like a notebook, right? Which, if you played Shenmue, I'm a big Shenmue fan, right? I grew up with Dreamcast. Super nerdy here now. No, but Shenmue is like classic. It's done by the same people that Virtua Fighter 2, right? AM2 from Sega. So in Shenmue, right, you travel around in like Japan and in China and so on, and you learn martial art to save avenge your father, right? It's very martial art, very like, you know, Hong Kong movie kind of thing. Anyway, in Shenmue then, you keep getting these books. You can go into your father's like you know, estate and find like, oh, look at this. Oh, and then you're like, oh, okay. And then it's kind of how you learn to like, oh, I see. So this is how I do this martial art move. So you find these like scrolls all the time, right? To like, you know, master martial art in Shenmue. So that to me was like, that to me felt very Shenmue. Like someone has killed his father, right? And here his grandpa's friend arrives. It's like, here is this secret notebook from your grandpa, how to learn your, ancient martial arts. Like, oh yeah, see, and then he learns this. Because so grandpa didn't train him, but grandpa helped him to discover his family's, martial arts secret, right, or whatever you can call it. So yeah, that's of course he likes his grandpa for. And generally like a good guy, but he of course fight shark guy, he's fighting Yegal. That being said though, I mean, we saw him in a very quick flashback, so you can find it here. It was very, very fast. We saw him, I guess, when he appears. It was like a very quick flashback when he's like beating him up when he's lying down. Yeah, say you're sorry. So I guess he probably, I'm gonna guess he insulted his father or grandfather, or maybe even, I mean his grandfather, not the other grandfather, but some of them, like he either insulted his dad, right, or one of the grandpas probably. Not the two grandpas here, but he probably insulted one of them, right, or his father, and now he's angry, so he beats him up, right. But this is probably at the dojo. I think that the seeding looks pretty similar that we saw in the dojo. It's a different color scheme, but I think that's probably at the dojo. So he probably also trained there, right? They were not friends, I suppose, because, well, obviously Yegal, he's a shark man, he's a Kenyan Suda, he's pretty evil, so he's probably a nice person, right? But he lost Hero. So this is probably before he could summon sharks, right? And at this time, probably was like an actual martial artist before he learned how to do shark magic. He was probably a more fighter, right? But yeah, so that explains why he hates him at least. But it's like a weird thing. He kind of appears there, right? They're talking, and then suddenly he appears, and it's like, oh, here's my shark tooth magic. It's like whatever, blocks it. It's like, I see you tomorrow. Yeah, okay, I see you tomorrow. It's like kind of weird. It's like they didn't even fight. He kind of blocked it, and he was like, and then he leaves. Yeah, like, and his hand was fine too. It's like, oh, whatever. He paid me. It heals in a minute. Yeah, it's like, okay. What I got nanobots. Yeah, so okay. But whatever. This is kind of Skola Menstrand. Yeah, give me strong Shenmue feel to me. But of course, it's in other animes and so on too. But yeah, but it's the general storyline to me is also similar to Shenmue, right? Like someone killed your martial art father. He's your grandpa's scroll. Like Shenmue has it literally. Like exact same thing, yeah. Like your father gets killed, right, and so on, and you have to, get revenge, and you're finding your father and grandfather and great grandfathers this kind of scrolls. So it's the exact same thing, whatever. But I love this comment though by Grandpa. Right? Grandpa gives the book. Grandpa is like, yeah, me and your grandpa, we saved the world. So and he says it so casually. We saved the world. We do this shit. It's like, yeah, that sounds like his grandfather. He sounds like his grandfather. I saved the world a few times. And in that sense, I like that he left his grandson then, right? Not that he left him, but you know what I mean, like not left him. But I think it made a lot of sense. His explanation actually was very reasonable, right? I think in a lot of animes you see someone like leaving their son or whatever, and it's just like, this doesn't really make any sense. Why is he doing this stuff? Yeah, and it's just kind of weirdly implied, or look at like Pokemon. Why does Ash father never return? I have no idea. Think about that. Like, why he never returned for? I mean, it's one thing that he's out being a Pokemon trainer, but he never even once returned. But anyway, this makes a lot of sense, right? Because he's like, well, I can't stay with you because I have saved the world at least once, right? Probably more than once. And as you see, they're all after him, but these crazy people and so on. So evidently, it's with the sword. But yeah, so he's like, I have to leave you, grandson, right? Because you're too weak to be next to me. And also got inspiring the main character then to train more, right? Because the main character is like, if I was stronger, I could be with grandpa. We could be together, as I could fight with him, right? But currently I'm too weak, so if his enemies are too strong for me, right? I need to get stronger so I can be able to defend myself, right? It is very much like that. So I like that. It made a lot of sense. It felt like an actual reasonable why he has to leave. And of course we also see that he is being attacked and is assassin. So in this world, yeah, definitely reasonable. But yeah, next episode, I guess they're gonna break out from the tournament. I mean, he even had a map there. I don't know how I feel about that, because I kind of want to see the other characters. I want to see the kid. I want to see the lady with the parasol. I want to see the shark man. I want to see them fight. But what it could happen though, which I think a lot of anime does, right, is that you have like, okay, in 3 days you have the tournament, right? So I need to save grandpa before these 72 hours or My friends are fighting in the tournament. I need to save him before the, it's my fight, right? Potentially though, one thing I'm thinking is that if he doesn't appear in the actual tournament, they can still win the right because they're 3 against 3. So maybe I don't know the rules, but I think in theory, if they just win, right, their 2 fights is 2 against 1, and they actually win, right? They don't actually need to have the third fighter as long as they win both their fights, right? If the rules allows that, but that might be a thing that maybe you can use back won because it doesn't matter, he doesn't fight for us. So that could be a thing too, that we cannot see him try to save Grandpa while they are fighting, and so they have to win, and more pressure on them, right, for his friends to win without him, right? But that could still be a way it goes down. I think that's reasonable in any sport. Like, yes, it's best out of 5, but we don't need 2 other members. We need 3 members. It's kind of rude, but I think it's fine. I think it's fine from like a sport thing, from the rules. I think. That being said, though, I think in a lot of sports you do actually usually need to have all the members, even if you already won, basically, right? You have to fight and some kind of sportsmanship or something like that. So maybe they won't be allowed. So they have to have like a longer fight and try to extend the fight or something. Who knows? But I could see it being maybe that there is like, if you win against 2 against 3, it's fine. Maybe they would allow one of them to fight in the third fight too. But anyway, that is the God of High School review, guys. See you guys. Have a great day. Of course, for Basket Left Net, and of course tomorrow we have Black Clover. And I think there might be a new opening in Black Clover, and freaking, you know how much everyone loves it, but they know how much I allow anime openings, and Black Clover has the best openings ever. Hope it's tomorrow up because, yeah, goddamn it, Black Clover openings they're the best thing. They are the best thing. And I will see you guys and have a great